Is tracking tropical storm Hermine all up and down the coast from Hatteras Island, where a possible tornado has touched down, to Norfolk, where high tide is just about here, inundating some neighborhoods. We start right now with meteorologist Miles Henderson of the First Warning Storm Team forecast. So what's the latest, Miles?
And you can see the impacts from that high tide causing the Hague to really overflow its banks. Look at that, covering a lot of those trees, the flower beds, covering a lot of the sidewalks and the roadways, moving up the streets of downtown Norfolk. High tide is pretty much right now. We're seeing those water levels in that moderate, close to major flooding level. From here, of course, levels will go down. Low tide working our way this afternoon to this evening. Our next high tide comes up tonight around 11:30, and we could again see that moderate flooding level, and then we'll be down to those minor flooding levels as we head into Sunday, Monday. Still seeing the rain covering a lot of our coastal areas from the eastern shore down through parts of Matthews County, south and eastern Gloucester County, Hampton, Poquoson, from Norfolk to Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, most of Suffolk seeing the rain, and Currituck County stretching towards Elizabeth City, still seeing those rain showers. It's going to take a while for this to finally peel its way off towards the east, but we will see that rain begin to let up. Some big-time rainfall totals for us. Over 6.5 inches of rain for Hertford, inland parts of Dare just shy of 6 inches. Similar picture there for Bowers Hill and Elizabeth City. Over 5.5 inches of rain so far. We'll keep updating these totals throughout the morning and this afternoon.
Miles, thank you. While most of us slept, parts of Dare County looked like they were dealing with a tornado. Brennan Ponton is live at Hatteras Village with a better look now at some of the flooding and some of the damage. Brendan, it looks like it's a mess out there.
It really is, Blaine. It is extremely windy right now, and it is very flooded right here as the high tide is coming in, and there are several campers and trailers that are overturned, including one right here in the middle of the water, right by a bridge, and then farther beyond that there are two other campers that are on their sides. And then if we come back towards this direction, I actually just talked with a homeowner. He lives in that house, that white house right there, about 50 feet from where all of this happened, and all of his property, he says, is okay. So it just kind of depended on where you were in relation to the campground. But I want to show you those two houses over there. They are both very, very much so underwater, and they came from right around the area I'm standing, not far from where I'm standing. So that gives you a sense of just how far they were carried by this water. Now we know 4 people were hurt. They were taken to the hospital with minor injuries, and definitely, as you mentioned, still a mess out here. Reporting live in Hatteras, I'm Brendan Ponton, News 3.
And we've watched that high tide move from where Brendan is now up the coast. This is some video from just a few moments ago from the Colonial Place neighborhood. That's the Lafayette River there, as it usually does when we have storms like this. It is overflowing its banks onto Mayflower Road. Vic sending this video in, showing just how inundated parts of that neighborhood is right now. And we want to bring in Deminis Brown. He is live near that area right now. Now, Deminis, that's my old stomping grounds. I used to live in that neighborhood, and I can tell you, whenever we get that strong wind coming in, that's when the water starts to pile up. But this is a lot more than we're used to seeing.
Absolutely. I passed by your old apartment not that long ago, and this is Mayflower and Newport Avenue, and you can just tell, it's kind of hard to tell where the river is right now, and also the streets at this point. As we pan the camera over, you can look at those light poles there. That's lining the street there. So beyond that, that's really the river, but it looks like we're actually standing in the river right now. Again, this is a notorious area here in the Colonial Place area of Norfolk that we see a lot of really bad flooding when we have those strong northeast winds coming through from a tropical system or even a nor'easter. And so this is something that a lot of neighbors here, a lot of people who live in this community have to deal with over and over again when we have systems moving through like this. And I've been trying to step a little bit deeper into some of this water. I'm not going to go too far because I know I have some friends that have been texting me saying, get out of that water, Deminis. But let me tell you, a lot of it's trying to come up a little bit closer to my knees here. And so we're going to be tracking this as we go through the day. Again, this is around the peak of high tide right now. Likely going to take a couple of hours for a lot of these waters to recede across the viewing area. Of course, we're going to have constant updates right here on News 3 and WTKR.com. Blaine?
Now, I know Miles Henderson has been saying that we're expecting the flooding with this high tide to be maybe a little bit shy of what we saw for Hurricane Sandy. So I remember for Sandy in that area, right where you're facing, you're looking down Newport Avenue. And I remember the water making it almost a block in off of Mayflower. So can you kind of compare how far up is the water now on Newport?
Definitely, it's not a block in. So, I mean, we're pretty much, if you're familiar with it, we're probably not that far really from Mayflower, to tell you the truth. So we're not a block in. Of course, it was much farther in there. We're probably closer to the street and the sidewalk area where the two streets meet.
I know they're doing some flood improvement with the drainage in that area, so it looks like perhaps
Yeah.
that is helping a little bit anyway. Dimitis Brown, as we approach high tide along the Lafayette River in Colonial Place in Norfolk. So in addition to the rising water, we also have the problem of many people in the dark right now. This is a look at dom.com, the website for Dominion Virginia Power, where, let me just get a fresh update here. The number just went down, and I'm going to say down. It's about 75,000 homes and businesses in the dark right now. That's across Hampton Roads, Peninsula, South Side, Middle Peninsula, and in parts of northeastern North Carolina. Dominion serves as well. It was around 82,000 a few minutes ago. So as the weather and the wind starts to die down, they're able to get some of the lights back on, but it is still a mess. And that's primarily because of the falling trees. The ground is so wet. Combine that with the wind, and these trees are toppling right onto power lines. It's where we find News 3's Margaret Kavanaugh continuing our team coverage this morning with one of the many trees that have fallen down across the area today. Margaret.
Yeah, these crews got out here a few minutes ago and they've already almost cleared the whole street. When we first arrived, the whole tree was down in the middle of the road. Now, neighbors tell me it happened at around 7:30 this morning, and they are trying to get this mess cleaned up just as soon as possible. They told me this is the 10th tree that they've been dealing with this morning, so crews working very hard. Now, take a look up here. You can see where the tree went down, that pot on its side, and you can see the tree actually fell on some trash cans out here. Now, I'm standing with James Collins. Now, he lives next door. James, I understand your car suffered a little bit of damage because of what happened. What happened this morning?
Probably about 7:30. My girlfriend said she heard something like sound like a sack of flour falling in the kitchen. Roused the dogs up the